Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Thanks. Tuning in to 757 Sports Talk. He is the coach, and I'm Matt Hatfield. What are you shaking your head for?
I will apologize to the many fans that are watching. I had no idea. Not been approved by me nor upper management. And he was singing "I'll Be There." I hope that segment never comes back to be here again. Horrible segment. I almost would rather see Fool in the Pool. And you all know how bad that is.
You want to bring Fool in the Pool back? We can do that. Would you like that?
I said December and January, you can jump in that pool.
Oh, a little cold then. A little cold then.
Well, if you can do it then, in the summer, you can do it then.
Well, you know what else was chilly? Were your picks in the NFL for week number. Is it 5 now? Look at some of these scores here. You had the game on the pond with the Vikes and the Browns, but you had the Ravens beating the Texans 44-10, sir. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. I know Lamar Jackson didn't play, but that one had you flabbergasted, didn't it? More than what you watched to start this show.
I know Jackson wasn't playing. I understand they had like 6, 7 guys out. I still felt they could pull it off because they're playing Houston. So that one is on me. Total stupidity on my part. Blew that one 100%. And Baltimore, screw you the rest of the year. I'm not picking you again.
Oh. Well, you should have known with Marlon Humphrey being out and Kyle Hamilton being out, a couple of defensive backs, and a linebacker in Roquan Smith. The defensive line's been decimated. You should have known better than to take them against a desperate, hungry C.J. Stroud-led Texans team. And how about the Eagles, who had been kind of sketchy this year despite being Super Bowl champs and all these wins in a row? They get outscored 18 donut by Bo Nix and the Broncos. Sean Payton's group did a great job. And I'll tell you what, they got some players on that defense for Denver. They do. They really played extremely well in that game. Hufanga back there looks like the new coming in Troy Polamalu. There's something to watch out for. And they blew a couple games. They could easily be 4-1 or 5-0.
A statement win for Denver. A lot of people, some people picked them even to win the AFC West. That's a statement win for them, beating who I thought was the best team in football, second best team in football, and the Eagles behind the Buffalo Bills. But that was big.
Bigger win, Tampa Bay over Seattle on the road with all their injuries, or Washington. No Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, who you chastised in the offseason with the contract. The defense, the Commanders, keep Justin Herbert and the Bolts out of the end zone for 3 quarters. Sanistril with a big pick in the red zone. Justin Herbert's been picked off more times this year than last year altogether. Chargers were 3-0. They've lost to 2 NFC East teams in a row. Commanders, huge win with Jaden Daniels back for them, and that defense balled out. Tampa Bay's offense keeps humming. No Mike Evans, or with Mike Evans. They didn't have Mike Evans, but they've got Ibuka, and they got Godwin, and they have Baker Mayfield, who's an MVP candidate for sure.
I'm going to say Tampa winning at Seattle. Seattle's a tough place to win. And kick that field goal,
you hate
get
the
it.
commies.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. Washington.
Look at the margin. Look at the margin. They won by 17.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm not overly surprised that Washington beats the Chargers. They had to go again, that cross-country stuff. I think you always say it's a bigger in your picks and that you look at that hard. I'm not so sure I worry about that because they don't go the day up. They fly in there ahead of time and whatever. But it's 2 surprising wins, but not that big. I'm just how about what Tennessee over there?
Oh, did you have to bring that up? Did you have to?
Sitting there, I didn't want to say nothing.
Did you have to?
But I saw highlights, and I thought I saw Arizona 21-6 leading. I said, oh, that game's over. Next thing I heard was 22-21. So Arizona didn't score no more, and Tennessee kicks a field goal to win it, or it was a touchdown. It was a field goal, wasn't it?
They kicked a field goal, 22-21. And I'm still
upset.
upset.
It's a year where kickers are being really looked at. it's some funkiness going on in the NFL.
There is.
And of course, my world famous Raiders. Thank you.
Your world famous Raiders. They've been world famous. Hey, stick around. We've got more funky things, not the funky chicken, coming your way. We'll go through the college football zaniness from Saturday. A couple of Commonwealth teams looking good like UV and Old Dominion, plus some high school football too. You'll hear from Lauren Johnson of Highland Springs and a couple of Green Run Stallions who won themselves a doozy of a ball game in Virginia Beach of the Salem Sun Devils. You're watching 757 Sports Talk, and you're watching it with us. Where are they watching it, Ed?
Right here on Cova Sports TV.
It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and the one and only Coach Ed Young every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Cova Sports TV. From high school football and basketball to the NFL, MLB, college sports, and the NBA, if it's making headlines, they are breaking it down. Bold takes, big-time guests, and a few laughs, especially at the expense of that basketball coach Ed Young. Catch it on Cox TV and YurView, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Cova Sports TV.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Welcome, everybody, back 757 Saturday Sports Talk. I'm the coach, Ed Young. My partner, Matt Hatfield, caught up with Highland Springs head coach Lauren Johnson after their big 28-0 win over the Phoebus Phantoms. Here, let's see what Matt had to ask Coach Johnson about that one right here on Cova Sports TV.
I'm here with the head football coach of the Highland Springs Springers, Lauren Johnson. His team pitched a shutout 28-0 here at Darling Stadium with the reigning four-time state champion Phoebus Phantoms to move to 3-2 on the season. Coach, first team to shut out Phoebus in 4 years. First to do so on this service since Hampton did it back in 2016. You got to be proud of your effort, offense, defense, and special teams, but especially the defense tonight balling out for 4 quarters.
Yeah, defense did an extremely good job, but I say this all the time. Like Coach Simmons and the defensive staff, they do a phenomenal job. They prepare extremely hard. I mean, he is a detail-oriented guy. He's a math teacher, so I can't say any more about that. He just does everything that we ask him to do and more, and he always has the kids prepared. So I'm excited to have him on my staff always.
You've had some really good quarterbacks. You got one coaching with you now, Coach DJ. You have a guy just a couple years ago, Christian Martin, goes to Maryland, Nelson Lane. This guy that you've converted from wide receiver to quarterback, Antoine Buddy Richardson, very thoughtful young man, and he made some plays tonight. Coach, maybe his best play to go with his pick, his 3 rushing scores, his TD pass was the one they took away on a hurdle from a holding call.
Yeah.
I mean, he's impressive.
He is very, very good football player. He's what we call a throwback. He could have played with those teams and 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up, until now. He's a guy who's been around the program. He's a ball boy for us when he's really, really young. So he's been here and he understands what it is, and we were thankful for that.
You appreciate the legacy and history of high school football in the state, your programs, Phoebus, this entire, the whole big picture. And you were, I think, 11-0 to start in 757. You've had some tough battles the last couple of years with the Oscar Smiths, the Morris. Phoebus got you up there. To win tonight, I know their quarterback didn't play. This also shows that the Spurs haven't gone anywhere, have they?
No, we're not going anywhere. It's a different community and different environment. So when you play at Highland Springs, I mean, you are at Highland Springs for a reason. Like you want to compete at a high level against the best competition in the state, and you want to win. You know what I mean? So for our guys to come out and play as well as they did today, it just shows that we're going to play football when we put the ball down, wherever the location is.
You know this better than anybody. The unsung unit is the offensive line, which allowed you to rush for 325 yards tonight. And the guy that is the workhorse for you is Eric Berg, 21 attempts for $192. He was hurt last year. He's not dinged up this season, is he?
No, he's not. And we got some guys behind him that run pretty well as well. But it's hard, when you got that guy that's been here doing it. He's getting an opportunity to come back. He's just showing people why he is who he is. And a lot of those people have taken away his scholarships, not calling him, not talking to him, but he wants to prove to everybody that he can be that back.
Sure, come on, let you run. How much is it also a great teaching thing when you can put on the television on a Sunday and you might see a Greg Dortch, a Kevon Wallace, and these wide receivers coming up, a guy like Jalen Padmore who makes a big play tonight, they can say, I want to go be that guy. Whether they end up being that guy or not, it's a good thing to strive for, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And those guys, Greg did us a favor by coming back and talking to us. He did a camp with Makai and Kayvon. They kind of hosted that at our school, and they talked to the kids, asked the coaches to leave the room kind of type deal. So I'm not sure what they said, but they did, spark a fire into those guys, and it's showing up.
It doesn't hurt when the big fella Beckton can come back too and also show the lineman a couple things or two. Lastly, Coach, in this Class 5 picture, where are you guys? Because it feels like you've played a really tough schedule at this point. Huff from Carolina took him to the wire, didn't win in overtime. South County and Hopewell aren't pushovers either. And then this game, plus there's more to come with the Varinas and so on and so forth before the postseason. What's kind of your gauge of this team right now?
Let's take it one game at a time. I mean, I don't know, right? I tell people all the time that 15, 16, 17-year-old boys, And anything can happen, right? You can make a dumb mistake in school, or, you could be in a car accident. We've had all those things happen before. So I like where we are. I think we've played some tough opponents that have kind of prepared us for games down the stretch, but we got to continue to play.
Well, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Coach Johnson Springers will be involved. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys.
Hey, folks, we're back with joke time. Why can't you hear a psychiatrist using the bathroom? Because the P is silent. Just don't pee in here, okay?
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Back here with the Coach Ed Young, I am Matt Hatfield. Oh, you're biting your lip? What are you biting your lip about?
Well, I got to put a public service announcement out. That last pool in the pool, I had absolutely zero to do with it. I don't use that kind of language. I use the proper term like urinate. So I just want everybody to know that I had nothing to do with that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
You like that horse there in the background? Whatever it was, I can't even do the horse sound. We're at Dahlia Drive, Green Run, and Salem. That was the go-ahead touchdown, the celebration for all the fans at Elijah Cadillac Harris Stadium. We'll get to the beach scoreboard in a moment, Edward, but let's tackle the Southeastern results first and foremost before we do get to Coach Brandon Williams and his standout running back Charles Jackson, the Old Dominion Monarchs commit. Yeah, I got the ODU mug for all you out there. Let's fire it back up, Ed. Southeastern scores Oscar Smith. You got the blemish early to Gonzaga. We mentioned that, but they're coming off a couple of nice wins over Indian River on a Saturday, Kings Fork last Friday, and Hickory's Hawks. We're not destined to knock them off for the first time since 2006.
No, Southeastern District really stuck to the script as the favorites won out. Most of them fairly easy. Smith 50-7 over Hickory. Nansemond River 42-0 over Great Bridge. Indian River 40-7 over Western Branch. I thought it would be a little closer. Kings Fork all over Grassfield 62-13. And Deep Creek knocks off Lakeland 31-10.
I guess the game of note of that group was Indian River. You know, they haven't been really in our focus a whole lot here. That freshman quarterback, Lord Malik Haru, got a great lineman up front in Corey Centerland, who actually had a touchdown this game. Trey Pugh runs for over 100 yards. Jason Preston's making plays at both wide receiver and defensive back. But Indian River is sitting there, and they have some key games coming up in the district, Ed. They've got Nansemond River coming up on Friday. That's a big game in Chesapeake for both of those squads. Then Deep Creek is showing some improvement under Coach Andre Twine. Mike Jones is having a heck of a year. There's so many good Mike Joneses everywhere. Not just the one coaching ODU men's basketball, who we love. But Mike Jones running and catching the ball for Deep Creek's got about 1,000 all-purpose yards already this year. And then Indian River still has to play Kings Fork on Halloween. So there are some games that we'll find out more about the Braves, but I was encouraged by their second half effort against Oscar Smith to chop down what was a big deficit and make it a 2-score game. Had a chance to make even a 1-score game. And I feel like with that freshman quarterback, he's no longer, kind of that neophyte baby, if you will. He's starting to come of age, and I think some of the nerves and jitters will be out when they get to the playoffs because of having those district tests.
Agree. I kind of think Indian River is just a little bit flying under the radar, just a bit, as good as they are. Mm-hmm. Oscar Smith and Kings Fork, and of course now Nansemond River get a lot of the pub in that district. But as you said, Indian River's got to play them, along with Deep Creek, who's finally getting out of the starting blocks fairly smooth. It's going to be interesting for Indian River to make some headway going down this we're in the middle of the season. So now we're going to start getting around that turn because we're at 5 games, and 10 is what you play. So we're right in the middle of the season.
Now, the Beach District, Ed, this is what's interesting to me. We'll get to that Green Run Salem game in just a second. But if you look at the Beach in totality, you have 5 games. Bayside was idle this week, but the 5 games with Green Run Salem, Cox, Ocean Lakes, First Colonial, Princess Anne, Kempsville, Lansdowne, and Kellam Tallwood. Of those 5, 3 decided by 7 points or less. So outside of Kempsville's comfortable win over Lansdowne and Kellam's rout of Tallwood, they were pretty tight ball games.
Right, yeah, Kempsville knocking off Lansdowne 41-12, Kellam 38-14. I picked Kellam, but I went back and forth. I thought Tallwood had a great shot, and I think I made it a close pick, and it really wasn't.
Real quick, great highlight in that game, double pass. I know you love this. Brian Neese was a guest a couple weeks ago. You couldn't be there for the conversation, but Aaron Smith, their Senate wide receiver, they did the double pass, which I know you love, executed it to perfection, got a big chunk play out of it, and Kellam able to pull away from Tallwood. But that was they're going in the bag of tricks. Kellam's on for that ground and pound wing tee. They've opened it up this year with about 3 times as many passing yards as rushing yards, which is incredible. That's good. Oh man, I wish I could have seen that pass. I would like to take credit for it, but I was not in on the interview, so I can't. Other games, First Colonial 20-13 over Princess Anne, Cox 14-10 over Ocean Lakes. And that game was tight to the wire. Ocean Lakes was driving, but it was a big play made by, I think, Jawan Mack, who had the go-ahead touchdown. Ocean Lakes, in fact, led this one 10-7 going into the fourth quarter. Dolphins throw for 209 yards on the Falcons, but 4 turnovers do them in. Ocean Lakes, which has got a freshman quarterback in Kai English there, and Cox able to pull it away thanks to the hard running of Tyree Jeffries, as he has a big night running the football, over 100 on the ground for Tyler Noe's Falcons, who get themselves a win. I think Cox is flying under the radar. Princess Anne's losing streak, unfortunately, keeps extending for them, as they now have dropped in terms of total games in a row here, going back to 2021. It is now sitting at, I believe it is 43 consecutive. Haven't won a game since they beat FC back in 2021. Got up 20 points at FC, and they held on against PA. But speaking of streaks, streak is still going for Green Run in the Beach District, Ed.
Now, this game was intriguing. It's Green Run wins it 35-28. If I'm not mistaken, at halftime, it was 14-7 Salem. And Salem had a lead, which surprised me. You sent me some stats. 15 yards total with a 14-7 halftime lead. And it looks like the second half was a whole different ballgame.
Third quarter was zany. I mean, it was bonkers. In fact, I believe you had 5 touchdowns in the third quarter total. Salem got up 21-7. They actually were able to extend that lead to 28-14 when Green Run chopped it back down to 7 again. Jason Harden had a heck of a second half for Salem. He only ran for 9 yards in the first half, finished up with 117 yards. I think he had about 106 of those in the third quarter alone. But Green Run answered the call, and one of the guys answering the call for them was the running back, who's headed to Old Dominion to play for the Monarchs. That's right. Charles Jackson coming to play for you, Ricky Ronnie. Would you like to hear what Action Jackson told us?
Let's do that. Let's see what Mr. Jackson had to say.
It's Cova Sports TV and 757 Saturday Sports Talk.
I'm here with Green Run running back and Old Dominion commit Charles Jackson after his team's a thrilling win, 35-28 over Salem, as they keep their Beach District winning streak going. Charles, how did it feel to win this one tonight? The way you guys did, battling back from 14. You were down 10 last week against Kempsville. Something about the resilient Steins this year, huh?
Yes, sir. It felt great because, we all brothers and we all do it in practice. And we just, we bend, but we don't break. And we stayed as a team. We had to trust in God.
How tough was it running against that Salem defense, especially with number 12 out there, Marcus McCoy, making tackle after tackle? He's hunting you down every play, but you're able to make some plays against him, too, in that defense.
Yeah, most definitely. He's a dog, and he's a great player, great sportsmanship. Yeah, and we just had to, do what we can to, get to the first down and get to the end zone.
How different was this comeback from last week? You guys have been here before, down 10 last week on the road against Kempsville in the third quarter. But tonight, Salem hit you with some big plays, but you guys didn't hang your heads and you kept fighting back. Did you learn something from last week? Did it help you tonight? Or?
Yes, sir. It most definitely. The difference is, this game, we just, kept our head down. We had to, put the energy back up. Last game, we stayed in the game. We kept the same energy, and we got the win.
Certainly you and Pitbull, Tristan Williams, are kind of a 1-2 punch, thunder and lightning for that backfield. Did you know that last series? Did you go to Coach Williams, Coach Payton, the OC, and say, hey, call my number, I'm going to take us home? What was kind of your thought?
Me and him is, best running backs in the city, best running back in the state. And that's my brother, and, whatever coach wants us to do, we'll do it.
Mm-hmm. You're committed to Old Dominion. Let's talk about that for a second. Big win for the Monarchs last week. They're possibly going to crack the top 25. How excited are you to play for Coach Ronnie and the Monarchs, Coach Lucas, and that whole crew?
It feels great. They show big love to my family, and I'm just excited to be a Monarch. I just can't wait to get to campus and to work.
What was it about Old Dominion over other schools that recruited you? Because I'm sure more schools will recruit you until signing day, but what was it about Old Dominion?
Yeah, so Old Dominion, like the amount of love they show to my family, we talk almost every day, and, I just love how the coach, he stayed loyal, even though if bad times, go bad, he stayed by my side, and that's what I like.
Sure, that trust and dedication, no doubt about it. Last two for you, Charles, or last three, I should say. Tell me about running backs. I'm sure you watch them on college and in the pros and TV. Who are the backs you kind of try to study and try to emulate on your field out there when you play?
So I kind of got I got two running backs that I study. I study Jeremiah Love and I study Quinshon Judkins.
All right, not a bad combination there.
Yes, sir.
What is it like about those two guys?
They're dogs. They beasts. They're the only people I look up to.
Sure. Third and goal. It's the play to win the game here to avoid fourth down. What'd you see on that play, and kind of what take me through it if you can? The touchdown.
Oh yeah, I had to trust in my brother. I just knew I had to get in there somehow and get the win.
There you go. And lastly, to win this game, you keep the streak going. What do you take from this moving forward? I know you guys have bigger goals beyond the beach, even to this year with regionally and statewide.
Yeah, this is just a lesson game. Just keep your head up. Don't look at don't look at transitions of losing, because we're gonna stay in the game and just trust in God.
Watch out for him. He's a stallion for now. Monarch down the road. Charles Jackson here gets the win thanks to his game-winning TD. Congrats.
Yes,
we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.
26 rushes for 92 yards and a touchdown. Eddie had 78 of those yards after halftime. He was bottled up early. And Marcus McCoy, I have to give him another. By the way, I thought for a brief moment it was going to be the second time in about 3 weeks that a Hatfield was going to have to interview a McCoy. You guys remember it was the kicker for Maury, Charlie McCoy, with a linebacker, Marcus McCoy, no relation to Charlie, by the way. They're not brothers or cousins. For Salem, listen to this. He had 19 total tackles from the linebacker position. These aren't inflated tackles. I keep them on the spreadsheet while the game happens. 19 total tackles, 9 of which were solo. He had 5.5 or 5 of them for loss, and he had 2.5 sacks plus a forced fumble. He was the best player on the field, even though Jackson could make a case he was right there with him as one of the best players running the ball for green run. But impressive young man. You can tell he's got the leadership qualities for Brandon Williams and company.
Yeah, I would say Mr. Jackson handled himself well, not only in the interview, but obviously on the field. And the McCoy kid, the stat you just gave, for a lot of kids, that's a season. Mm-hmm. It's one game. 9 solo tackles. He didn't need much help. Would you say headhunter on defense? I think so. He knows where the ball is. Plus, he's in the backfield more than the running backs are. So, big one for McCoy. I would love to see a Hatfield McCoy another interview, because this time y'all don't have to complain over the stolen pig, which originated the Hatfield McCoy.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
The Hatfield stole McCoy pig. That's what happened.
Wait. Is that your version of the story, or do you want to hear our version of the story?
I'm just reading the version of what's truth. Go read it. It's what happened.
Okay.
Yep. Ulysses Hatfield went into a McCoy territory and took a pig, which started the feud. So,
us Hatfields like to tell it differently, but anyhow.
Well, you should, because you don't want to take ownership for your mistakes, which you, to this day, you still don't.
How is that my fault? I wasn't around then.
Well, you're a Hatfield. You got to claim them.
Okay. Well, anyhow, Brandon Williams is the head football coach of the Stallions. Would you like to hear his story from what happened on Friday?
Let's hear the Lou Rawls, and you'll see why I say the Lou Rawls of high school.
Rawls!
Yes.
Wow. I hope he's watching this and can comment or interact with you, or, later on in future weeks as you get closer to basketball season. Have something to say.
As I said, listen to his voice in the interview, and you'll see why I call him the Lou Rawls of high school coaches.
I'm going to do the Shaq. Remember the Shaq from Inside the NBA? You'll never find my hairline like mine. Anyways, Here is not Lou Rawls, but Brandon Williams on Cova Sports TV. 35-28 over
48 consecutive Beach District regular season wins and counting for Brandon Williams and his Green Run Stallions, who win it tonight in a thriller 35-28 coming from behind to beat the Salem Sun Devils. More importantly, Coach, you're 6-0 overall to go with now the 56 consecutive wins against Virginia Beach schools. And what is it about the comeback kids you all are now? You had to rally back from 10 points down against Kempsville last week on the road, and tonight 14-point deficit on 2 occasions, but you get the job done.
Well, like people say, you don't never know how good of a team you are when you're down until you're down. And so these last 2 weeks we've been down, and we fought back and showed some resiliency and some grit. I'm proud of these kids, man. They know they're doing everything we asked them right now.
Well, this was not a game for the weary because I know Salem's got a couple guys dinged up, backup quarterback. You got a bunch of guys that are hurt, played through injuries like Cam Johnson, your Virginia Tech committed defensive end, Tristan Pitbull Williams, your running back. But the perseverance from this group, it felt like if you tied it up, what you got from a sophomore, Chadley Cross on a punt return, that you wouldn't lose it if you caught him coming from behind. Did you feel that too?
Yeah. The crazy thing is I literally was talking to one of my coaches this week and said, we call him CJ Chadney. Mm-hmm. His coming out part is coming, and lo and behold, it's here tonight. And I'm so proud of that kid. He comes to work every day. He's actually, he's banged up a little bit too, but you can't tell when he got that ball in his hand. So proud of him. And like I said, he made a big play and got us back in the game. And from that, and we just feeling like it was back and came after him after that. Yeah, the hidden yardage statistically, it might not be shown from what he brought. It's also Devin Miller on a big punt return that got you on the other side of the 50 from them late. Did it feel at all discouraging at halftime? Your defense had done everything you wanted. You held them to like 15 yards and you were down 14-7. They got a defensive score, a partial block punt. But you guys had been there before, knew how to come back, didn't you? Yeah, we know when our back's against the wall how to bend but don't break. And like I said, defensively, we take pride in our defense on our defensive unit. And we knew we got a couple of stops our offense was going to eventually get going and put some points on the board, and that's exactly what happened. Tell me about your defense tonight. You had a bunch of different guys. I know you call them A-gap, I think it's 0. DeJohn Smith made a bunch of plays for you. You have Corvin Watson, who's been a newcomer this year for you, making a lot of plays off the edge. It felt like if you could make them one-dimensional, that could play into your hands a little bit? No question. We knew that they're a very physical team. They're well coached with Mark Hall, one of my former coaches. But we know that they were going to try to run the ball at us and try to get us out of our game plan. But we stayed solid and got after it on the line of scrimmage, and we made some plays on that side of the ball. When you win a game like this, and there's still some things to correct, certainly on the line of scrimmage, getting guys healthy, the penalties, which has been a bugaboo lately. How's the feeling? Is it kind of a half glass, half full, half empty type of situation? What's your like I said, we know we have something to get better on each and every week. So, like I said, we got to clean up the penalties. We got to clean up, the missed blocks and the little things that's keeping us, just killing drives or whatnot, if you call them so. That we stay together and keep doing what we're doing and continue to run the ball and take care of business. We can't sleep now because we got very great opponent next week in Lansdowne, and we got to come back here for homecoming. So. Sure. Looking forward to the rest of the season. Yeah, always a rivalry, which goes on to other sports too with basketball. There, the last two let you run. Charles Jackson had the game-winning touchdown tonight. I know his numbers weren't the glossiest, but what a great kid. He's committed to Old Dominion, and I know you have to be proud of what he's done and being just a team leader for you this year too. Yeah, he's our senior captain. Like I said, our offense runs through him, and he loves the pressure, and he loves to all right, when I come to him CJ, we need to play, and he says, I got you, coach, and that's the type of playmaker you want on your offense, and he's that guy. Lastly, you're 6-0. The streak keeps going, and it's been a year where streaks have been ending, like Phoebus is here recently, so you don't fall victim to that here. What's kind of your gauge of this football team, and are you still kind of forming the identity? You know what you guys are capable of, but there's still some things you can grow and improve on, right? No question. We still, like I said, it's still mid-season. There's a lot of things we can improve on. Like I said, we got to win. It was ugly, but win is a win, and we're going to build on that and continue and get better for next week. We'll go enjoy it with some ice cream and cake and all of the different things. They have better cupcakes too, and we'll talk to you again soon. Amen.
They did have cupcakes, by the way, in the hallway, in case you were wondering. Did I get me one? No, I didn't, because I let everybody else have theirs. I don't do the Ed Young thing where you would have just knocked people over. You would have, sent old ladies into the wall and made sure you got yourself a cupcake.
No, now if it was some chicken, pizza, yeah, cupcake, donuts, no.
Anyhow, that was Green Run coach Brandon Williams.
And you heard why I say he's the Lou Rawls of the 757 coaches.
Okay.
That voice.
We'll see. When we bring him on, we'll have to play that in the background, I guess.
You can see if him sing, get a video.
Do you want him to do a clip where he's singing Lou Rawls like I did at the start of the show when we did the – yeah, okay. They're now winners of, as we mentioned, 48 straight in the Beach regular season, 56 total over Beach opponents. They've got, here's the remaining slate, Ed. They play Lansdowne coming up, who's lost back-to-back to Bayside and Kempsville. They host Bayside October 17th, host First Colonial, bye week on Halloween at Ocean Lakes. I don't see them tripping up, but that Bayside game's getting a little more intrigue to it, isn't it?
Yeah, the thing about Green Run this year is in the big games, winning, coming from behind, winning and winning somewhat close. Excuse me. In the past, we're talking about winning games 35-0, 40-0. That's not the type of team he has this year. It looks like a team that gets down and then keeps their helmets on the right way and comes back and takes a win. I don't see them losing. In Bayside game will be intriguing, especially Bayside coming there, route up, and performs. The key is you could be hype all you want. You still got to perform against good teams.
Well, what we've seen from – this is why I'd give Green Run the edge. Not only but decisive. In years past, it's been decisive. But we've seen Salem and Kempsville put together segments of a game. I'm not sure Bayside's defensive metrics, their numbers are telling us that they can slow down Green Run. Bayside's putting up 39.2 points per game. That's almost 40 a contest. They're giving up just over 20 a game. And they had trouble stopping Salem, Kempsville, and Lansdowne. So, good luck stopping Charles Jackson and the Green Run running game. The Green Run passing game has not been as crisp. The new quarterback, Luke Ashcraft, has made some nice throws, and they have some receivers like Xavion Cleveland, who you've seen from basketball, the Lansdowne transfer. Xavier Clark did not, I don't think, suit up in this game. Rashawn Savage, Devin Miller, the sophomore, and Chadney Cross make plays. But they're not as explosive at the air attack, which is something we were saying earlier about Maury in the start of the season. So they're going to have them going about it in a different way. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, if your offense is able to produce and not turn it over, that's all that really matters. And you get more, as you like to say, get more points than the other guys and keep your helmet on the right way. That's what it boils down to at the end. So we shall see when it all settles and if Green Run is the number one seed like we expect them to be in Region 5A, where they could get a test, like we said, from Indian River as well, and they might run into Kempsville or Salem again come region semis or region finals. Who knows when November arrives. All right, we're going to take a timeout. We've got more coming your way, including a segment on college football.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV with Coach Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield at a very zany day of college football action that took place on the first Saturday of October. And it's one of those situations where you say, all right, will there be an upset, a top 10 team? Well, there was a couple of big surprises. I think the big one that jumped out to folks was what happened in UCLA out west as the Bruins, who were 0-4, interim head coach was skipper Rick Neuheisel's son. What happens? They knock off Penn State. James Franklin said, that 4-21 record or whatever it was against top 10 teams since I've come to Penn State. Well, I'm going to show you because, I can lose to a team that's not ranked. And literally the running game with Nico, the quarterback who came from Tennessee, got all that money, was on point. Neuheisel's son dialed up all the right plays, and just like that, Penn State, poof, adios to college football playoff talk. More than anything, though, the Penn State run defense just absolutely eviscerated in that game. Don't know how much of it you watched. I watched a good chunk of it. Not good for the Nittany Lions. They could not follow up the loss to Oregon in double OT at home by going out west and beating a winless team.
Totally shocked by that outcome. I really didn't see UCLA win, and I thought at worst, close game, residue from the Oregon game, traveling out west for whatever that means. A lot of people always say that. I don't know how much factor that really is. They're not getting there the day of the game. But to lay that egg, and now the people that hate Franklin really, really are jumping on their parade that let's get rid of them now. It's not even wait to the end of the season. And you're right. How are they going to become a playoff team with that loss on the record? Well, they got to win the Big Ten. But I'll be honest, that loss, I look at the rest of their schedule, there's some landmines on that schedule for them if mentally they're not into it. And I just got to believe somehow UCLA was not all UCLA. I think the mental makeup that Penn State team, and I have no idea, had to be lacking somewhere.
Well, the clock management before the half was atrocious. You're down 20. You're trying to play for a field goal or points. You don't use timeouts and end up giving UCLA a long field goal. You're down 20. They play catch up, got it to within a score, but they ultimately lose 42-37. How about the game of the night? It's the U. They're back. Carson Beck had a heck of a performance, did he, as Miami was able to beat Florida State. The final score, not indicative of just the dominance that the Hurricanes played with in beating the Noles 28-22. Carson Beck, 20 of 27 for 4 touchdowns, 241 through the air. And the Miami defense, led by Corey Heatherman, former assistant coach. People know him from his days in the Commonwealth. ODU, JMU connections, was just on point. And Miami has ascended now to number 2 in the Associated Press poll. So I'll throw it to you. They beat Florida State, who lost the week before in the double OT Classic with Virginia, or the multi-OT Classic with Virginia. Is Miami the best team in America, or do you still go with Ohio State, the reigning national champs?
I'm sticking with Ohio State, but Miami coming up the ladder quick. They got speed everywhere. Defense, even their linemen, and it's making a difference in their game. Receivers get separation, they get yards after catch, yardage like crazy. They're legit. Even though I think Carson Beck takes a little bit of a hit from people, he's still decent. He did a decent job at Georgia. So they're there. They're right behind Ohio State, but I'm going to stick with Ohio State.
And certainly with Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver, Caleb Downs on defense, best safety. I tell you that Ohio State defense is playing at an incredibly high elite level. And you look at their offenses coming up, they got to face Illinois next week with Luke Altmaier. Could pose some problems to a degree. It's a road game. End of the year, I don't think Michigan will be that issue for them. I know they have Bryce Underwood at quarterback and a guy from the 757 coming down the road in Travis Johnson from Oscar Smith, as well as Louisa, 5-star running back Savion Hyder. But I just have to be completely honest with you, Ed. I don't think Ohio State gets a test from an offense, unless it's Illinois, until the Big Ten championship against either Oregon or Indiana. Meanwhile, you look at this top 25 from ESPN FPI. Alabama got themselves a nice win. Remember last year they lost to Vanderbilt. Ty Simpson's looking like one of the front runners for the Heisman Trophy now with what he's doing as they turn back Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt. He throws for over 300 yards to Simpson. They win it comfortably over the Commodores of Vandy, not Maury High, 30-14. They're listed at 3 despite that early blemish to Florida State. Oregon's 2, Ohio State 1, Indiana's 4. Miami is at 9 in this, which makes no sense to me. How Texas is ahead of them with the 2 losses is despicable. And then the Irish with 2 losses at 5. I know your guys beat Boise State and the defense played well after losing the lead early in that game. But come on now. They're not ahead of those teams. I have a big problem with this FPI ranking, which should be thrown out the window. And then Penn State, take them out to pasture because they played 2 conference games and they spit the bit.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking is it because Notre Dame lost early, now they're winning. Because I'll be honest, I always thought Notre Dame, when they lost a couple games, you almost take them out of the top 25. Writers got rid of them anyways. But Miami definitely deserves to be up there higher. But then again, it's just the rankings. It's nothing for real. Miami probably more than likely will be in the ACC championship game. And I got to believe they'll be in the playoffs. They're legit national contenders.
We'll come back in the next segment here in just a moment and talk about a team that Miami might see in the ACC championship. No, it's not Bill Belichick in North Carolina, which got absolutely roasted. Did you watch that with Clemson? Clemson hits Bill Belichick, the Super Bowl all-time, most Super Bowls ever in NFL, the genius, hit him with a double pass, Antonio Williams and TJ Moore for a deep touchdown. It was even better than the double pass Kellum executed in its ball game on Friday night on the high school scene. But we'll talk more about who Miami could very well see in the ACC championship in just a bit here, but I want to get your quick take on this CFP bracketology from On3's Andy Staples. He from On3 and Rivals here. Ohio State, Miami, Oregon, Texas A&M. Not a lot of talk about their defense. We hear about all these spread offenses in vogue. I still think defense wins championships, all levels of sports and all levels of football, pro, college, and high school. And right now, Ohio State, they got a real defense. Miami, they got a real defense. Texas Tech, by the way, I haven't talked about them. Their shellacking that they put on Houston, getting the job done very, very nicely in their latest ball game. Their latest win looking like the Big 12 favorite, 35-11 over the Cougars And Texas A&M, their defensive front, they just befuddled Mississippi State, who had beat Arizona State a few weeks ago and took Tennessee to overtime. So I think this looks pretty on point here. And there's a sneaky team from the ACC on that list there, Georgia Tech. Don't rule them out because they have a big opportunity end of the year with Georgia, who they played in that 7-8 overtime, whatever it was, Marathon Classic last year on Thanksgiving weekend.
You know, I'm looking at this as you're speaking, and I agree. When I looked at this, I thought Georgia Tech is the team, the proverbial, I don't want to play them early. And if this was all true, of course, Ole Miss would have to get them. The other team that's got all my respect, I know they were great last year. I didn't think they'd be much this year, University of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
They have answered the call. They've done it with a bunch of new transfers. And this is the thing that's getting me this day and age of the portal, with teams bringing in players every year. You know, we always talk about consistency, unity, getting kids to play together. With the portal, you have constant chaos of players coming in, and then you got to put them together. Indiana, Cignetti has done the best job, I think, with that, because he's got a ton of transfers. When he got the job, he brought kids with him from JMU. So that part's amazing. Watch out for Indiana. Watch out Georgia Tech.
And their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, he's a Heisman candidate, just like Carson Beck of Miami, just like Ty Simpson of Alabama. And he might be the best Fernando in sports since what? Valenzuela for the Dodgers? Is that fair to say? Best Fernando in sports since Valenzuela?
Yeah, the list is very short. So you're right. Valenzuela, I can't think anybody in between.
I mean, you know,
Fernando Ramos, but he didn't play sports.
He didn't play sports. No, Fernando Lamas didn't do that. But I just know this. James Franklin, more press conferences like
my
this.
skin is like you're making me uncomfortable. Like I don't know what you're talking about.
James, you're making your fan base uncomfortable. They had gone 46 consecutive games without losing back-to-back until now, 34 straight wins over unranked teams. Now you've become the first since 1985 UTEP, when they beat BYU number 7, an unranked, to knock off a top 10 when they were 0-4. And that's
I got some buddies in Pennsylvania, the big Penn State fans. They were texting me. The feeling up there in Happy Valley is starting to build a little. If Franklin doesn't get into the playoffs in some manner, and or he only wins seven or less games, they think he's out. There's enough uproar that, it's a guy that's been winning there. But that's one of those schools that, okay, that's nice, thank you, but we need championships.
Sure.
We expect 10, 11 wins a year, and they may not get 10, 11 wins this year. So he could be in some hot water because not beating the big teams and ranked teams, and then if they don't move on. Now, last year, of course, they lost to Notre Dame, but I think he could be in some hot water. Let's say he loses a couple more games, 4 losses or 8-4.
Oof. Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. We'll come back and talk about the Commonwealth. There was the Battle of the Bay with NSU Hampton. There was Virginia winning in overtime, and Old Dominion. What a showing they had. Are they ready to take down the Dukes of JMU? Put up your Dukes. You're watching 757 Sports Talk, and you're watching it with us on Cova Sports TV. Stay tuned.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And we're back here on 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV and interact with us wherever you are tuning in. And, Ed, it's now time to highlight the Commonwealth. One score I did want to hit on that we glossed over in the last college football segment, though, was Texas falling, which you called, by the way. It was one of your upset specials. Billy Napier and the Gators were able to chomp them behind DJ Lagway at the quarterback spot. They're able to beat the Longhorns 29-21 in a game where Arch Manning was the leading rusher and didn't get a whole lot of help. So the Gators knocking Texas to the side of the road, just like Penn State there. But we have a couple of teams from the Commonwealth that have hopes and dreams of being in the college football playoff. Virginia's ranked in the top 25, and neither you nor I saw them after the thrilling extra frames of football last week against Florida State. We talked with Greg Medea from the Daily Progress about that and his trip home, and the little one trying to keep him awake. they're rising, as you see here from College Football Report. By category, they're the biggest riser as they beat Louisville 30-27 in overtime. They get a scoop and score from Donovan Platt, 61 yards on the game's first touchdown. And then in the third quarter, it's a 47-yard pick six from Cam Robinson, he of Essex High School in Tappahannock, to break the tie. They beat Louisville on the road. And you look at their schedule the rest of the way. I'm going to read it to you. They've got Washington State coming to Charlottesville. They go to Chapel Hill to play UNC. October 1st at Cal. October 8th, they host Wake Forest, which was able to squeak by Virginia Tech on Saturday. Then they go to Duke, November 15th. That's the hard game. And then they host the Hokies for the Commonwealth Cup. I see probably at the most one loss, and UVA has a real shot at this thing to get in the playoff and play in the ACC Championship, likely against the Hurricanes of Miami.
I'm going to go a step further. I see them running the table.
Do you? You think they can win at Duke?
I think they can win at Duke. Their offense, top 10 in the country scoring offense. I know you said defense wins championships, but you could have a great defensive team. And if your offense is so-so or worse, you're in trouble, because unless the defense can intercept and return fumbles for touchdowns, your offense got to score the touchdowns. Virginia has that. Special teams ain't bad either. That's a key part. And when you play against an opponent where you're both very similar, you know, the graphic says UCLA in week 6 was the best offense. You know, Virginia's offense has been steady all year. I like their chances. I mean, yeah, you could say worse, maybe one loss. Hopefully they don't mentally check out of a game like Penn State did against UCLA. I think Virginia's a good situation.
And you see a lot there of love for the Gators there with the D-line and the defense, but their defense has gotten considerably better for UVA after getting lit up by NC State. And by the way, Duke has put up 45 points on 3 different occasions, one of those against NC State. How about Old Dominion? Offense, defense, special teams getting it done as they beat Coastal Carolina by 47-7. The quarterback, Colton Joseph, 315 yards, 4 touchdowns. The receiving core, which was a question mark coming in, not so much anymore. They got 4 legit running backs. The defense, minus Jason Henderson, still applying pressure, and they're making things happen on special teams too. Could Ricky Ronnie's Monarchs make it to the Sun Belt Championship and be that group of 5 team into the playoff? Is it possible? They lost to Indiana in game 1. JMU has been a bugaboo. They got to see the Dukes, who only won their game 14-7 over one of the Georgia schools. I think it was Georgia State. But this might be the year the Monarchs have a special run, not just some ordinary bowl game, but possibly in the playoff?
You know, I'm going to say, using the word possible, if they run the table and they can score like they did against Coastal, that loss to Indiana, if Indiana keeps winning, that loss will not hurt Old Dominion. It'll make people are going to look at that and say, well, you know what? First game of the year, they gave Indiana a battle. You know, if this would have been later, could they have beaten Indiana? Could they have been closer to Indiana? Some things go through the voters' mindsets. But in that group of 5, you got, you know, American Conference, you got teams like Memphis, Tulane, a little bit stronger power rankings and whatever. And a lot of those teams have played a couple big timers.
Yeah, don't forget South Florida in that league, so they beat Boise. Yeah, you're right. You're dead on. I agree with you totally. I think Tulane, Memphis, South Florida from the AAC is probably the team that gets it. But we could be looking at them in the Sun Belt Championship, which I'm not sure too many people thought was a real legitimate possibility or probability back in August. So pretty cool for the Monarchs there. And one more Commonwealth game to hit on. Norfolk State and Hampton, the Battle of the Bay. The Pirates take that one 41-34. NSU led this game 21-10. HU goes to 2-4. NSU drops to 1-5. Bigger deal that Hampton won, or bigger deal that Norfolk State lost?
I hate to say this. I'm going to say bigger deal. Norfolk State lost only because they were up 21-10.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing. And it's a major, major rival game. It's almost like you can lose any other game during the year, but you cannot lose this one. Too much bragging, talking going on in a 7-5-7. But to be up 21-10, and I don't want to throw barbs at Coach Vick and his squad. It's one of those years. He's new. You know, they've got to do better with the recruiting, especially on the line. That's going to come. You and I have talked about this on this show a lot about what do y'all expect just because Michael Vick to win 8-9 games. You got to get players. He's coaching. He's not playing. But to lose to your big rival after a 21-10 lead, it's a little harder to take.
Absolutely. 3rd loss by 7 points or less, I believe, consecutively, as they've had some close defeats here lately. It's 757 Sports Talk. You can like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV and interact with us all the time. And we thank you for watching.